It's a big world out there. Everyone's bound to run into some unanswered questions. Who killed that spouse of yours? Who stole your silver figurines? You can't answer these questions. That's where I come in. My name is Chauncey Lawson, Private Eye. Chauncey Lawson.
Hello, Mr. Lawson. The Chief Inspector wants to see you.
It's Saturday. What does he want?
He says it's urgent. Something about chemistry.
I'm a private eye, not a chemist.
Chief Inspector begs to differ.
Curses! Tell him I'll be right down. Chief Inspector.
Detective Lawson.
That's right, detective, not chemist.
Now, don't get yourself flustered. Sit down. Have yourself a glass of chocolate milk. Now, I'm well aware of your disdain for the chemical arts, but this is both experiment and mystery. You'll be solving the case of the specific starting masses of reactants sodium phosphate dodecahydrate and zinc acetate dihydrate to produce a desired theoretical mass of 2.25 grams zinc phosphate. And just where will this scientific mystery be solved? Well, as the pirates say, X marks the spot.
Before I began any experimentation, it was time to make use of that stoichiometry skill set. The theoretical yield for zinc phosphate was to be 2.25 grams. I used stoichiometry to calculate the masses of zinc acetate dihydrate and sodium phosphate dodecahydrate. First, there were 2 mole ratios, one for each reactant. According to the balanced equation, there was 1 mole of zinc acetate dihydrate and 3 moles of sodium phosphate dodecahydrate, both of which must be set equal to 1 mole of zinc phosphate. Calculating the necessary masses of each reactant is done in a grid where conversion between units takes place. Using this grid, I determined that 4.05 grams of sodium phosphate dodecahydrate and 3.51 grams of zinc acetate dihydrate must be used in order to form 2.25 grams of zinc phosphate. Next, I had to figure out that map. What is this place?
A chemistry lab.
Excellent. I began my experiment by getting the proper amount of each reactant. Blast! Some of it spilled on the countertop, likely affecting the mass of the product. I then put both of these products in beakers and added 20 milliliters of deionized water, carefully dissolving them with glass rods. A few milliliters of HCl successfully avoided any byproducts forming. I combined my 2 reactants and they formed a peculiar pale-colored substance. I found and recorded the masses of my filter paper and watch glass. The filter paper went into my funnel. Keeping the filter in place with a bit of distilled water avoided innumerable travesties. I then swirled my mixture and poured it into the funnel. Egad! Some of the mixture came over the filter paper onto the funnel walls, surely affecting the final data. I used water to remove the precipitate stuck to the beaker wall. The filtrate solution proved clear and I proceeded to wash my precipitate. With my spatula, I removed the precipitate, placed it on my watch glass, and moved it to the oven to dry. From here, it was time to determine the percent yield and percent error. For the percent yield, I divided my actual yield by the theoretical and multiplied by 100. For the percent error, I subtracted my actual yield from my theoretical, divided by the theoretical, and multiplied by 100. I've carried out your dirty work, Chief Inspector.
No, this is no more dirty work than your other unanswered questions. May I have the zinc phosphate?
Here. Yes. Now have a seat. Tell me what you found. I found that in order to produce 2.25 grams of zinc phosphate, 4.05 grams of sodium phosphate dodecahydrate, and 3.51 grams of zinc acetate dihydrate are necessary. I used stoichiometry to convert moles of these reactants to grams. Setbacks were spillage of the reactants and the precipitate sticking to the sides of the beaker. The actual yield was 2.15 grams zinc phosphate, the percent yield was 95.5%, and the percent error was 4.4%. Lab safety procedures included wearing goggles to prevent objects from blinding me.
Bravo! Now, sit down. Have yourself a celebratory glass of your favorite beverage. You fool! You've just swallowed 2.15 grams of zinc phosphate. Oh, killing you has a multitude of benefits. The publicity alone will bring in millions. You did swallow it, right? You've gotten it in my eyes! You've blinded me! I guess that's what you call a decomposition reaction.